Hi, Jamie.
Hey,
You hear me?
yeah, thanks, Bob. As I said, I might be getting a phone call, so I'm gonna have to step out possibly. So I just wanted to make sure.
Nope, I understand entirely. As long as you can hear us.
I'm good.
Okay. That'll work. It's being 6 o'clock and we have a quorum. It appears all of us are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yes, we are all here. Very good. So, seeing as how we're all here, I don't need to call a roll. Receipt of citizens' petitions. Do we have any citizens petitioning? I don't see any, interestingly enough. Then we will move quickly.
Excuse me, I think Diane Glassy's on Zoom, so I'm not sure if she's.
All right, let's see. I see, let's do a gallery view here. It says we have 6 participants and only 2 of them are showing up. Town of Groton staff and Jamie. Attendees, Ed Kolnaski, Elizabeth Porter, Jane LDriscoll. Okay. How do I get these guys on? I can allow them to talk.
And you can allow them to talk, that's correct.
All right, online, we have Elizabeth Porter. Oh, I wish this would stop jumping around.
Hello, everybody.
And LDriscoll.
Yes, I'm here.
And would you identify yourself, please?
Leslie Driscoll, 293 Old Everett's Lane, Mystic.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Jane Servidio. Jane, are you there? Jane is muted. Christine Cabral. Christine, can you hear me? And Ed. So Christine is muted. And
I'm here. Can
Ed,
you hear me?
I can hear you, Christine. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
What I'd like-
I'm Jane Servidio. I'm sorry I was muted before. I live at 67 Somerset Drive.
Thank you very much, Jane. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 individuals. I'm just going to take them in the order they appear at the top of my screen here, if that's all right with everyone.
You're on, babe.
Wow. I am also at this meeting.
Who's that?
Diane Kolnaski.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, I'm sorry. I heard you say Ed, but then you didn't go back to it, but I am here as well. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I
Thanks.
believe I've given everybody access to speaking. So the first thing that I'm going to ask is if all of you are here to speak in favor of striping lines for the field hockey team, that's a very good thing. And we are going to be taking that up tonight. So please, if that's what you're going to do, we'd like you to keep your comments short and sweet so that we can move on to that. But Jane, go ahead and let us know what you would like to say.
I'm actually going to speak for my daughter Anna, who is a junior at Fitch and is on the field hockey team. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I am reading this from my daughter. She was at Connecticut DMV getting her learner's permit. It says, hello, my name is Anna Servidio. This is my mother speaking on my behalf because of a prior commitment. Everyone speaking for the team tonight all have different points of view that back up this one argument. Field hockey needs and deserves permanent lines on the turf field. In November, 2 teammates of mine, our coach and myself, attended a Board of Ed meeting where getting lighting for the turf was discussed. I would like to point out that my teammates and I were the only students representing their sports team out of the entirety of Fitch. At that point, The news we had received was that we were getting a turf field for use for the upcoming season. Obviously, we were ecstatic. I feel as though we have taken a step backwards because in November, we were advocating for lights for our field. And now in July, we are fighting for the field to even be lined for us. Turf is crucial for field hockey, and it puts us on an even playing field with the rest of the ECC teams who all have turf fields except for Fitch High School. I am hopeful that you will make a decision based on what is right for those who have been advocating for Fitch field hockey since the beginning of the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we have Elizabeth Porter.
Hi, Elizabeth Porter here, 14 Oakwood Road, Mystic. I'm also a member of the Board of Education, and I'm also on the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee of the Board of Education. And this was brought up again on Monday night when we had our meeting, and it was indicated by all members attending that we were in favor of this. So I just wanted you to know that we have discussed this and that we are backing that these lines are added to the field at this time.
Thank you. Could I ask a quick question of you as a Board of Ed member?
Yes.
Have you seen any estimates on the cost of doing this?
No, we haven't.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. All right, Christine Cabral.
Can you hear me? Can you
Christine?
hear me?
Yes, yeah.
You can hear me. Okay, good. Thank you. I'd like to play a recording if I can of my daughter. She's at actually softball practice right now. Usually if you play one sport, you play more than one. So you can hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. So here, I'm just trying to cue it up here. Give me one sec.
Miss Allison Cabral. I am a rising senior at Fitch and I've played field hockey for the past 3 years. I just wanted to tell you about the field hockey experience has been over these years when we play against other schools in our conference. The other schools, similar in size or even smaller, have a regulation turf field with permanent lines that we play on. The permanent field hockey lines do not cause confusion for other sports. There is no reason I can think of that field hockey was excluded from these permanent lines. For years, we have been pushed to the back of a baseball diamond. It is time that we are taken as the serious female athletes that we are. Please vote to have synthetic turf fields permanently lined for field hockey and make this fair. Thank you.
So that was my daughter. She's a senior, as she said, at Fitch. And, you know, I just want to kind of echo those comments without restating what we've said in the past at other meetings, but really just, I did hear an estimate because I spoke at town council, and even though I know it's not their decision with this, just to bring up the issue about fields in general in Groton. But also apparently they're between $30,000 and $35,000 to have them come out and reline the field. That's what I heard from the town manager. So I don't know where that number came from, but and so I just want to say about that, it's sad because I feel genuinely after reviewing all of the minutes that the decision to exclude field hockey was done perhaps without the best decision-making process using Robert's rules. It doesn't appear that there was ever a vote. And so what other reason would field hockey with over 30 Groton students involved be excluded? It's the only thing that was excluded. So, you know, there's no evidence in the minutes that I could find that the decision was officially considered and made. And since, you know, since which sports got the lines, that was never officially considered, the decision must have been made by a hunch or a gut feeling or influence or just the decision maker's personal preferences about sports. I'm not sure how that happened.
Can I stop you there? Just because if you're going to have a little tirade about how the decisions were made or how you perceive the decisions to be made, that's not going to be particularly helpful here.
I'm sorry if it sounds that way, and I do apologize. What I'm trying to get at is that I feel like it was a mistake, and you know, for I've heard things like there's no field hockey at middle school, and just so you know, there's no lacrosse at middle school either. And this is where it starts to feel like it is an attack on our sport. And so I just need to get that message heard. And I apologize if it sounds rash. It's just a very frustrating fight because we thought we had this already. We thought we were being watched out for with this, and to have to go through all this effort is very frustrating.
Understood. Thank you. Ms. Driscoll.
Okay, hi, my daughter Lily is going to speak.
Hi, my name is Lily Driscoll, and I'm a member of the Fitch field hockey team. I feel as though my team needs permanent lines on our new field because field hockey is the only sport in the ECCs that does not have a turf field to play their sport on. And it is a sport that needs a turf field, and grass just totally changes the game of the whole game because it makes the ball move slower. It makes the shots less precise. Our field hockey team has fought for us to have lines on our turf since day one, and other sports such as lacrosse do not need it as much because it does not affect the game for them. The sport is not affected by the field. And last year for our state's game, we were supposed to have home team advantage, but we were told that we were not allowed to play our game at home because of the quality of our field. And the other teams have also forfeited their JV game because of it. And so that kind of gives examples of how much we need this, I feel like.
Okay, thank you very much. And then I guess we have Diane Kolnowski.
Yes, hi. So this is my third experience speaking at a Zoom meeting for adding permanent lines for the field hockey team to the new turf field. I spoke at the first permanent school building committee meeting and then was kind of referred to the Board of Ed, and I spoke before the Board of Ed and thankfully got their support and Dr. Grenier's support. And then finally heard back from Dr. Grenier that he was in favor because Rick Norris had found out that the permanent lines could be added. That was really good news for us, and but I didn't realize that it really wasn't a finished deal at that point because Mike Doyle then informed me that even though Dr. Grenier gave his support for adding permanent lines, the final vote comes from your committee. So again, I'm asking you tonight, you know, as a coach, and I'll kind of wrap this up quickly, but as a coach, every year I'm hired by the Board of Ed. I have to have goals. I'm almost treated like a teacher in the sense I'm expected to be professional, teach these girls, work with these girls, help them to, you know, be a part of the community. They're not just a team. They're more than that. And I've worked to develop this team for 10 years now. We're going into our 10th season. And part of my professional goal has been every year that someday when we have a middle school, we're going to add a middle school team. Maybe not right away, you know, a paid coaching position, but like as a club sport, the way we began, so that we will have a feeder program because there is no feeder program. I am the feeder program with my girls every year. And this is in fact the first year that my girls don't volunteer as they've done for the past 4 or 5 years to run, they do a middle school and an elementary school camp. We're the only team that does those things because we just don't have, we have to promote our own sport. And the last thing I just wanted to mention quickly, I was a little, you know, kind of upset that when I looked, I finally saw a 2014, a task force had gone into looking at the numbers of every sport, you know, in the town and at the high school and at the middle schools, and they had numbers. And so I looked in the numbers, I compared the numbers, I have my roster from, you know, back when we first started. My number was correct. But when I looked at the numbers at the same, I don't know if it was the same task force or a different task force, what they used to calculate what we needed for fields, the exact same numbers were in for every single sport. including field hockey. And I just want you to know those numbers weren't correct. Field hockey has grown every single year, and we were at 31 girls last year. In that study, it was reported that we were exactly what we were in 2014, but then I felt a little bit better because in looking at every other sport, exactly the same numbers were copied. So I don't know, who was responsible for that, but it really wasn't a reflection of what the numbers are like. For some of those sports, the numbers have gone down. For field hockey, I'm really proud to say we've built a program and we're committed to continuing to build a program that the community can be proud of. So I just really hope tonight that this evening, we have the Board of Ed support, we have Dr. Grenier's support. I know it's going to be costly to go back and do that, but I truly believe the right thing to do is before you start adding other things like lights and other things, make the field right for everybody. Make the field usable for all teams. So I'm hoping that tonight there'll be a vote in favor of adding those permanent lines to make it right for my girls as well. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. All right. I believe we've heard from everyone that I see listed. Is that the case? Is there anyone else out there who would like to share?
Leslie Driscoll, can I just chime in quickly? My daughter Lily already spoke. The only thing I want to say, I really do firmly believe that the line should be, permanently lined for field hockey. I'm not really sure why or how the decision came to be, or why we're in this place, but the team, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. They play on the baseball field, which is partially dirt, and soccer and lacrosse take precedence over at Pequannock Plains, so they don't even have a field over at Pequannock Plains. So when you're thinking about your decision, I want you to think about what the field hockey team has been faced with. They do have large numbers. I have a junior and an incoming freshman that is going to play this year. And so I want you to keep that in mind when you're thinking about fields and, proper field conditions for all sports across the board for these kids, because they should all have the opportunity to play on a field that allows them to play to the best of their ability. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I
All right,
just add one last thing?
Actually,
Not a comment. It's
I'm
not a
gonna-
comment from me.
Diane, I'm going to say no.
Oh, it's not from me though.
That's quite all right. You
It's-
can't make comments from someone else.
Okay, it was correspondence sent to you. That wasn't mentioned.
It's coming. You haven't given me a chance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said asked at the very beginning of the meeting about correspondence.
Oh, that's later.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Thank you very much. What I asked about were citizens' petitions.
Oh, I thought it was considered that. Sorry.
No. Okay. So I apologize for cutting everyone short, but the fact is we're going to get to this tonight. Now, is there anyone else that wasn't on that list that has snuck in and wants to say something? That being the case, I'll thank you all very much. And we're going to move on to approval of meeting minutes for May 7th, May 21st, and June 4th meetings. Has everybody had a chance to read those minutes now?
Yeah, we approved them last.
What?
Just the June 18th. It's just June 18th.
Oh, okay.
I'll move
I've got
June
the
18th,
wrong.
2020 for approval.
Here we go. I've got it. June 18th. You'll move it, Mike?
Right move.
Kevin? And David is seconding.
Yes.
Any adjustments, changes, edits? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The meeting minutes carry. All right. Communications and reports. PSBC members, anyone?
Last Wednesday, I did have a tour of the middle school. First thing I went there with Rick, superintendent, Sam, and a little entourage that the superintendent put together to go to the building and take a look. Everything's going along beautifully, as those who have seen it. There's, I guess, minor delays where we are due to the COVID, actually, and for me, I kept fairly quiet to a point. I just wanted to hear the other people and what they were getting out of it, since basically it was almost their first time being in the building. And that seemed to be a positive from the visitors going to the building.
Very good. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Mike. I'd like to thank all the ladies that spoke tonight, the field hockey players and their parents. My daughter was a captain of the field hockey team back in 2013. She had a great experience and she went to college and does a great job now. A lot of it due to what she was as captain, what she learned from mentoring from Diane. So thank you for speaking today.
Anyone else?
I think we all received this.
You want to read it?
Sure. So we all received, I believe it came from Diane Kolnaski, but it was specifically from Heather Holmes. She was unable to attend the meeting today, so she asked that we read this. So it says, members of the PSBC, I am writing as a parent of an incoming sophomore at Fitch High School. My daughter Ashley was a member of the JV and varsity field hockey teams at Fitch this past fall. She truly enjoyed learning a new sport, representing the Falcons, and having a successful season. I was looking forward to watching the Fitch field hockey team play next season on the new turf field. I was extremely disappointed when I heard that the new turf fields are currently not lined for field hockey for the 2020-2021 school year. As a parent, I cheered for the Fitch field hockey team at every game this season, home and away. Speaking frankly, the home field that our girls play on is embarrassing. There is no seating for fans, and those who attempt to walk down the hill to sit on the edge of the baseball field risk falling and hurting themselves on an unstable and dangerous hill, and our athletes play on two different surfaces, partially in grass and partially in dirt on the baseball pitching diamond. Yet they play hard and are proud to represent their school. I understand that the new turf fields are lined for soccer and lacrosse, both teams that have beautiful home fields at Pequannock Plains Park. Is there a reason that field hockey is the only team being excluded from playing on turf? They are also the only Fitch High School team that does not play on a regulation field. I would hope that the PSBC and the Board of Education would work together to make this a priority and reconsider this decision of adding permanent field hockey lines to the new turf field so that all Fitch athletes have the opportunity to play on a safe field that allows the regulations of the CIAC. I am sorry that I am unable to attend tonight's meeting to share my thoughts as a parent of a Fitch athlete and a taxpayer in town. Respectfully, Heather Holmes, 333 Ridgewood Drive, Mystic, Connecticut.
Thank you. All right. Any other communications from the committee? Then moving on, consultants. We have no consultants? No consultants. All right, staff and program management. Very good.
Our last week at the end of the night, so no trespassers. We entered the property. Alarms are now off. Power is still running in Cutler along with water. State work is ongoing. We have utilities going to the property. Underground weapons are doing in area C is for all MEP weapons, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection. So that's all been backfilled, and that area is ready for, or almost ready for our slab on grade. Area B and A, we're continuing with our wall pours, our concrete wall pours, and backfill has ongoing, and we have rough in and not.
Let them know what those areas are.
So area C is a big area.
Yeah.
The 3-story wing area. A and B are admin, music, cafeteria areas. Besides that, we have milled the parking lot, the loop that goes around the existing school. We have milled that driveway, so now it's kind of a gravel road. That's it for Cutler. And at West Side, we're a little bit behind on that one, not behind schedule-wise. backfilling ongoing. We have anchor bolts going in as well. Area B will happen next. We have excavated for our footings. We have not yet installed footings. And then area B is the area that brings the two together, kind of where the kitchen is right now, the existing school. So we aim to demo that area before we begin excavation in the area. We have then the fence, whole site fenced in on both schools. We have our demo and abatement subcontractor ready to go next week. We're going to begin with light abatement in the building until we get the building permits. And then once those are received, we can begin with the demo. We had a nice walkthrough with Rick today. Hence why both of our hair is, shiny from each sweat. And I think that's it. We have a couple of trees looking to save with Sam at Westside. We're going to talk on those to see what it would be to fix those.
Yeah, I'll bring up the speed on the GMPs. The guaranteed maximum price contracts have been signed for both schools. We had an addendum, if you recall, because of the abatement and demolition. Having signed those, my boss, the department head, has signed those this last week, so they're fully executed. What that does for us, it puts us slightly over at Westside, like 96,000. We're still in good shape. I'll give you the numbers in a second. And Cutler was about 306,000. So what that does for us, both schools, if you look at the contingency, the owner contingency versus construction costs, we're over 8% both schools. If you look at the owner's contingency total cost project, we're above 6% of both schools. So we're still in very good shape budgetarily for both those schools. There are some things that you'll see. Kelly provides a copy of the change order. We're trying to get through one of them. The driveway driveway entrance at Cutler. We don't have that information back yet. We needed to make a decision about putting the water line in the road, which we've decided to do. It's going to probably cost us somewhere between $30,000 and $60,000, but it aids in providing water service to some of the towns. Plus, if we can coordinate with the gas company, and maybe we save some of that money for paving, so we don't have to pay the full paving costs. And we were coordinating that with the Eversource gas folks. West Side. I mean, I would recommend that you folks, if you drive by there, you could even just walk into the gate by where the trailers are. Cutler, you can see the whole site. It's tremendous. I mean, you can see all the foundations that are going in, the concrete work that's being done, the topsoil that's being stripped. There's huge piles of this stuff everywhere. West Side being a little bit different site, it's really difficult to see the progress as easily because it's here and there and other places. But it has been moving along. Also, we could talk about the furniture, if you will, getting the buildings emptied out. We've pretty much met the schedule that we had, which was July 13th for turning over the buildings. I think the board has to go over us Monday or Tuesday, 14th. All the materials will be out of the building by the 14th. The only thing that's really left is those items that didn't sell at auction, which are basically in the cafeteria and somewhat in the hallways near the cafeteria. So that sale, we didn't make a lot of money, but it's one of those things that we have to go through statutorily, if you will, by the town's purchasing process. So we did make a few bucks, and some of the remaining material before it gets trashed is being picked up by some of the town departments for additional. So we're really being pretty good use for it. Took some good material. What was that group over in New London?
So the Dominican Association of London.
Yeah, we actually donated some of the materials to them because they're an underfunded organization. The libraries, both Bill Memorial and the town library, have taken a lot of the materials. So I think we did pretty good, or as well as can be expected based on our time frame as far as disposing of materials. all the stuff that's going to the new school has been trucked. There's like 15 to 17 tractor trailer loads of stuff that's been taken right now down to Stratford for storage until it's ready, until it's time to bring it into the new building. So those projects being tied together like that causes a little bit of angst, but I think some of the abatement work, or at least initially, is going to start probably towards the end of next week. So we're pretty much on track as far as demo and hazardous material abatement on those projects.
With one thing, Rick, on that, if anyone wants to visit the sites, I have a, next week, a safety training. It's a virtual safety training with ONG's project safety manager. So if anyone will want to eventually visit the sites, you guys can attend that.
Yeah, you get your little stickers for your hat.
You can do it, yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna do both Cutler and Westside at the same time.
Do you know what time or?
It's 2 o'clock on Tuesday.
Is it possible for us to get an invitation sent, please? Like with a Zoom link or whatever?
Or I
We can find out.
email and figure out a time that works best for everybody.
Will you send that to us so that we have
Yeah, I'll get the
we have a Zoom link
information
and everything?
Yeah, we'll get it.
Thank you.
Get it.
Perfect.
About it.
Thank you.
That'd be great, yeah.
Point of clarification, is it for each school or?
Combined for each.
Oh, okay, so,
One.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
So if we already did safety training for the middle school, is that,
You have to do it again.
have to do it again?
Yeah.
Different site.
Perfect.
We'll get you a little
Thank you.
sticker for your hat.
Another sticker.
Yeah.
I probably have a conflict, so we'll have to figure that out.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll
just
be,
reply and figure something else out.
yeah,
Just
we'll
like you
be
said.
having, I think that this is not the only one that's gonna have to occur, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, thank you. We're together.
Anything else?
I think that's it for the elementary. Does someone have some additional questions?
Hey, I only got one. There's a person that tried to get into the, has his hand up in the Zoom meeting. Mike Ellis wants to speak for a citizen petition. I'm not sure how you want to handle that, but he's ready to speak.
Let's see if I can.
What do you want to do about it? We've already very well. I say move on and.
Well, I make a motion that we let Mike Ellis here speak to us.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Dave? All right, let's see who we have here. Participants. And Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Hey, thank you very much. I had my hand up. I don't know why it wasn't recognized during that period, but I'll make it very quick. I just want to let you know I spoke to Billy Harris, who is the athletic custodian who lines the fields. And it takes him, he said, a day to line a field hockey field in terms of laying the string down and then going through and lining it. And it takes 10 gallons of paint, which is $160. And if you were to paint the field, he would have to paint the baseball field and the turf field, which would come to about $320 a week over a 10-week field hockey season. You're talking $3,200 or a little over $3,000. You play that out over 5 years, you're about $16,000. Over 10 years, you're a little over $30,000 in terms of lining that field plus days of work. I'm not sure how much it's going to cost to cut and put the lines in, but I think you guys should know that information from a financial standpoint when you're making the decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. All right, I see a bunch of hands up, but we've already passed through that period of time. So I'm going to move along here. Staff and program have anything for the middle school or? Brittany. Oh, I've met her.
Mhm.
Hi.
Mhm.
I'm Brittany Shepherd. I'm the project assistant for Arcadis. My project is the middle school and so for site work, Richard is currently on site working on our soft field and our softball field. They're doing that right now.
I can't hear her at all. Thank you.
She's gonna move up, James.
Come on up here, Britt. Take my seat for a second.
Oh, there's more faces.
Don't look at them, just ignore them. Don't get stressed.
Okay. So, Richards is on site working on the fields, the rest fields. So we have our sod field and we have our softball field that they're currently working on. They're also working on site drainage and bringing that all together. For the building itself, well, they're working on all the site work, but for the building itself, I'm gonna start from the 4th floor down. So for the 4th floor, we have our punch list started. So pretty much everything is done. We're kind of just going around to find all the little things that need to be fixed and remedied before we go ahead and move on to our TCO. That's the 4th floor. 3rd floor is the same with a little bit more work to be done. And 2nd floor is, all right, so I gotta break it up. So the 2nd floor, we have our specials wing. Our specials wings is where the gym is, the fitness room and the movement studio. They're still working in there. The gym floor is still being installed. That takes like another week or so. They'd have to add the final coat and also the line markings for the sports to be played on the field, no, not the field, sorry. To be played on the court. So that's the gym, and the movement studio and the fitness studio still has a lot of electrical work and telecommunications and data work to be done in those areas. In the media room, they also have a lot of the same work to be done. So those areas are unfinished, but moving into the classroom wing, most of the work is done, same as 3rd and 4th, besides the science classrooms. So that consists of 2 classrooms and 1 flex prep area. Those aren't completed yet. They're being worked on as we speak. Moving down to the 1st floor, we have a lot of work to be completed in the admin area. The reception area still needs a lot of casework there, and also the electrical and teledata to be installed. In the multidisciplinary classrooms, they're just missing casework. And in the ABA classroom, it's pretty much done. They're also just on punch list for final items. Moving further into the building, we have our band room and our cafeteria. Those are moving along pretty well. Right now, they're working on the electrical activity in those areas. That should be ongoing for the next 2 weeks and then some. The small performance theater and the black box theater, those are pretty complete. The floors are installed, the panels are up. They just have to do some painting in there. And right now they're setting up the risers for the band or the chorus to have risers there for when they perform. In the AV room, which is the AV production and the graphic studio, they're currently in there doing electrical work. So it's a lot of electrical work right now. And then the kitchen. And the kitchen is in pretty good standing. We have all the fridge panels up and in. They're working on putting down the floor and also electrical work in there. And that's it. Oh, yes.
Question. Basically, given the reporting, Tammy, and the difference of what's going on. 2 questions. After the gym floor is put down between lining and shellacking or varnishing the floor, how long do they figure with this weather is that going to take to line and set before that's complete? How many days?
So as of Tuesday, in my OEC meeting, they said it should be done by next week. I was in there today actually with Sam, and we walked the building, and I noticed that they're still installing the floor, but they're pretty much done. They got like a little further to go.
And anyone
To
else?
answer your question, Kevin, the finish only takes a few days to cure. It doesn't take a long period of time.
I know that. I figured like 3 days normally, but I wasn't sure with the humidity and everything else.
No, we did have a bit of a humidity issue. They brought in an independent humidifier to make sure that the humidity in the building is suitable for completing the installation of the floor and the first coats of finish, which they're going to put 2 coats of finish down so they can complete the rest of the equipment installation without damaging the final finish to the floor. and then do striping and the final finish and all that kind of stuff.
And these are-
So a week or two out, it'll be
No
completely
problem.
done, except for the bleachers and, you know.
Bleachers will be in
which are not due for
September.
a while yet.
Yeah, what I was just trying to say to with all the work, the way you put it and everything else is, when Arcadis is gonna bring their stuff in, furniture is gonna be moved in, everything is gonna be moved out and moved in, and the school will be able to be starting on time despite the count
Correct.
and everything else. We'll be scheduled and we'll be ready.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all, that's basically what.
Yeah, the bigger view of the schedule is building the 4-story wing is scheduled to be completed by the 15th. Some of it's COVID related, some of it's whatever. We did have some issues with science casework. That's all now scheduled to be delivered by the beginning of next week, so that casework will be installed. We do have an issue, however, with the countertops, which are epoxy countertops, which are still out there a ways, so school may have to start with temporary countertops in those rooms. So what that means is sinks won't be installed, and they'll have a temporary countertop. They'll have the other furniture, the desks and things that they need in there to do the work and operate the program. The rest of the building, what they call B, C, and D wings, are all scheduled to be completed prior to the end of this month. There is some additional work, and we know about those couple areas, and I think we reported those out before, like the gym. The kitchen was on the list before, but that's been pulled back as far as the schedule. So the rest of the building is due to be completed by that time.
Okay, just based on what you just said
Yeah.
on temporary, possibly countertops and all.
Yeah.
How long would we stay temporary based on the kids being in the building, or we have enough time to come in the building and change them, or we do one
Yeah,
at a
that
time?
all can be done after hours, weekends, whatever it takes to do that. We don't know what the period is because we don't have a firm delay, because we've had the contractor or OG has had some difficulty with communications between the one contractor and the subcontractor, because they were out of state and they were in states that were really shut down for the COVID thing. So they're still trying to get that resolved. So those things that need to be done will be done on a not to interfere with the educational basis kind of thing. So that kind of work is continuing.
Okay, and just one more thing is I heard after on the tour, it was put out, we actually had a minor injury after the last meeting.
That was actually, we got an accident report on that. That was actually the project manager over there. He slipped on some stones and twisted his knee or something.
That's why I say a minor injury in the
That's the
sense of
only-
nothing
that's the
major with
only
the job.
injury. I got my fingers crossed. The only injury we've seen on the site. So I mean, they've done an excellent job with safety and keeping things safe over there. Other things of major importance on that school is we've been working with the building official. Tammy scheduled a meeting for the week of the 17th, I believe, or maybe it's the week of the 20th, around the 20th, for a meeting of all the folks that are involved in signing the certificate of occupancy. So we'll have that meeting. We've also invited the building official to our next owner's architect construction meeting, so we can get a better feeling of where we stand with the building. We're also planning is also a part of that. So we need to look at those things because we want to address those issues that need to be done to get a true certificate of occupancy. We don't need that to move in furniture or to have a handful of teachers on site to unpack or that sort of thing, but we certainly need that before school starts, and we are working toward that. As a superintendent, we had a meeting on the furniture today. Brittany was there. That was a pretty interesting meeting. Tom Beebe, who's an Arcadis, working with us on that move management stuff. Like I said, it has all those trucks loaded, so we need to determine the appropriate time to bring all that stuff back and start moving it in so we can get teachers and provide them enough time to unpack, because they're also not going to be able to all come in at one time like they did when they were packing up to leave. So we do have some challenges ahead of trying to get all those materials in, plus the new furniture before the school date, but it's all doable at this point. So right now we don't see anything that's holding up the building from being ready to start school.
Great. Thank you, Brittany.
Any other questions for Brittany?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I can ask you a couple more, Brittany, if you want.
She's done. She's done. Go, Brittany, go.
Thank you.
Unless you have some additional questions on middle school, Jack, do you have anything for us?
No, I think overall, the good news is that work is proceeding. Even with the COVID impacts, we'll be able to open on time. None of the things that have been impacted are tied into the issuance of the certificate of occupancy. Maybe some inconvenience, as Rick said, with temporary countertops, but nothing that's mission critical. Furniture will be here. The materials will be moved in from storage, and we're coordinating that around the delivery furniture. And we'll be able to open, should the town open on time, we'll be ready for it.
There is one COVID-related issue, if you will. The Department of Health put out something for schools and how they operate, and how they open, and whatever. So right now we have that under review by our HIVAC folks. The MEPs are looking at that. Plus, Jack sent off nice emails to them to get them to look at. Plus, we'll get our commissioning agents to take a look and see if there's any things we need to add to the building. We've talked to Sam, for example, about getting some of those screens that you have in the appropriate places, because we don't know how long this is going to go on.
So I'm kind of intrigued as to how they're going to feed people under these conditions.
Well,
feed the students and the staff. But we'll see what happens with that.
We don't know a lot of those at this point. So much of that's up in the air until we get farther into the.
And it's not my problem.
It's my problem. We'll spend all the dollars and trying to make sure it operates the way we used to. So part of closing out the project.
Indeed. So we do have some challenges, but they've done a phenomenal job of getting to where they are at the moment. Most of you have had a chance to go through it recently, right?
It's gorgeous.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, even now with the final cleaning, getting ready or starting and that sort of thing, some of the classrooms are really 100% done or 99% done.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth in the next week or two taking a walk and look at what's going on. My two favorite spaces are cafeteria and the gymnasium. I mean, those things are
I can't wait to see the gym
huge.
floor.
I mean,
You just want to eat and exercise, I know.
and we got the exercise with the mirrors are up too.
I have a 13-year-old who's only focused on the band room, so
There you go.
he's pretty excited.
All right, so no more questions for Brittany. Thank you very much. It's going to be exciting to watch this, I think. Moving to unfinished business. I don't believe we have any, do we?
Well, on staff report, I should mention.
Oh, sorry, backing up.
One last thing. We did talk about that list of items at one point that we thought would be ads that would not necessarily be part of the project, but would need to be add-on afterwards, that may require some support from this committee to the council or recommendations, those sorts of things, but certainly would probably need to be done after the project is complete. Otherwise, we continue to delay the audit, and right now the state's holding 11% retainage on us, so we'd like to get that money back sooner rather than later. So some of these projects would occur afterwards. One that's actively working right now is the solar panels. I work with the Green Bank. They've gone out to what they call the LREC ZREC auction, which is the zero energy credit auction. They're working on that, and they have to have that submitted by Monday so they can be a part of that auction. They're working on it. And then once we get that and we get approval, that's going, then they'll get it into the design and that sort of thing of that project. I might mention lighting on the turf field. We are looking, because we are putting irrigation lines into the other fields, and it would behoove us to take advantage of putting some conduits in those trenches that are already dug to accommodate the area of the turf field and the other fields for either lighting, for other electrical needs, or some of these other items we may need down the road. So I intend, and I did talk about it to move forward. I don't expect that to cost us more than $10,000 or $15,000. If it costs that much, there's going to be a little bit of additional trenching, and we probably connect to a pole out here on the street. So it would be a separate meter, if you will, if lights do get installed from the school. But that part of it's going forward. So similar to what we did at solar, and solar will be ready.
We'll have an infrastructure in place to accommodate.
And we don't have to dig things up again, and we'll be ready by and large to do that kind of work.
And the power line that from the power to the trailers, that's still there, that was the plan.
It doesn't go very far, but yeah, that's part of it. It would come off of that pole, yes.
I'm sorry, that part's already.
Well, and that conduit may not be sufficient. But put 2 conduits in the ground, it would come off that same pole, go the same direction. Go between the softball field and the multi-purpose field, and then along the multi-purpose field, and then
Toward the
down
school, yeah.
between the multi-purpose and the other field. So what the intention would be to put handholds at each of those corners, so power could be available for lights, for scoreboards, or whatever, So, just trying to look ahead a little bit because we do have the opportunity to do that. The other list of stuff that's out there, I did add field hockey to the end of that, and we're going to talk about it separately. So there is a proposal, which I don't have a firm request, but I will have from the superintendent to improve the drop off for the special ed folks at the north end of the building. We're looking at that now. Is probably the best time to do it because that site hasn't been completed, the sidewalk hasn't been poured yet. So if that works out, I'll come to you with what the proposal and the value of that is. But right now we're doing some of the engineering, some of the evaluation to see if it's feasible and how feasible and what the design could be or would be there. So it won't be the full cost of adding on something because we'll recover some costs for the sidewalk that was already planned to be in that area. So there's going to be a trade-off there. So I'll let you know as that moves along.
Okay. Thank you.
The field hockey, of course, turf line was added, and then those other things were carried over from previously from the tennis courts and basketball court and solar panels or whatever it is. Solar panels on Cutler are following the same process. The ones for the middle school are West Side. We haven't got into that discussion yet, although I did have a brief discussion with Groton Utilities. It's a whole different process for those. So if people are disappointed that they're not on West Side, it's going to take longer to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to open the door to kill themselves.
So if anybody has any questions, at some point, Bob asked me to put this back together and bring it up to you. So at some point we need to figure out, we're going to work with other folks to figure out what the priorities and stuff may be. Kind of add-ons, if you will.
Okay.
Do we have any notion of what the approximate estimate might be for that?
No, not yet.
Don't want to play with that yet. We don't have a plan.
We don't really know the length of the road yet.
Right.
It's not going to be 300, 400, 500 feet long, but until we get a little closer, we'll know better guesstimate on what the cost would be.
I remember when we had talked about this before, we had kind of prioritized them. Is this in the list in the order that we had prioritized them, or are they just in a list?
That was probably the list that we discussed
Okay,
last time.
I just couldn't remember.
I mean, so this has been discussed before, but
Right, I remember
it's been a
that.
while, and I think it was probably put in the priority list that we
Okay.
had. It's just,
It looks like it is. I just figured I'd ask. Thank you.
Some may be priorities for the Board of Ed, some may be
Right.
priorities for the town. So at some point,
Right.
that discussion would have to be had.
Got it. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Any questions for staff and program?
So that's the stuff when we talk about change orders and the amount of money we spent and how much money we have left. That kind of stuff, or
Just the broad brush, we have, in order to continue, we have over $8 million left.
And that includes the 4 million that we're not spending. In addition to that?
Yeah, it's in addition to
I
that.
look for we're, again, being just soon after the turn of the month, we did not have all of the financial reports updated for tonight. So I can't.
It's doing a great job on it for under my.
Well, you know, we had the owner's contingency there. We
Wow.
were fortunate the bids came in $300,000. I think if we look at the budget and we confirm that when it comes in, that we went from 90 million to 86 million for the project cost.
That's phenomenal.
So probably have that money floating out there someplace. But for the purchase of
It's closer to 8.
land.
That's okay.
Yes.
So quite a bit.
Still.
I wouldn't be upset if I had $8 million in my bank account.
Still
appropriate.
You wouldn't turn it down.
No, I wouldn't turn
Yeah,
down.
so there's a big chunk of money out there. The, you know, if you go through this list, there's still, you know, just, Tammy and Brittany have highlighted the things that for various reasons, you know, owners are requested stuff, the green, reds, things that could be designed or conflicts in design, those sorts of things. So at some point, we can look at these. If you look at the list, it's pretty lengthy. There's probably over 200 change orders. But the value of the change orders that actually occurred because of all these other reasons were probably less than 60% of the total change order value. The rest of the dollars were owner change requests, like LDT, like turf field, like those bigger costs that we had added. So, so really, as far as the change orders that came up because of issues on the site, they're really a smaller part of that whole number. So, so I think by and large, we've had pretty good advocacy from O&G as far as change orders. Like, they've really been doing a good job of turning things back. We're at a point where we're not trying to add money to the project because there are still some allowances out there. There's still some contractor, if you will, or CM contingency out there. So those things, even though they may appear as change orders, aren't money that's added to the project or come out of our contingency. So as we get closer to the end of the project, I've asked them to update that list for us to see what allowances are spent, not spent. For example, in the utilities, we may get 100,000 plus back for the utility allowance. So when it's all said and done, I think we're in excellent shape as far as this project budget is.
And what's the change order percent where the state goes, doesn't like it?
Right now, we're running at about 2% of the construction contract value. The state draws the line for reimbursable change orders at 5% of the entire project cost. So we are well under the threshold for any concern. Again, as Rick said, things like the turf field, we're not going to get reimbursed for anyway. So those would, in effect, come out of that 5%.
Yeah, those are not included in the contingency.
We're in a very secure position there. Another thing to note is that within the CM's contract, in addition to the allowances that Rick talked about, they also have a CM contingency for things that are needed by the job, either on the drawing but not bought in anybody's bid package, or what would, in the context of a general contractor, come out of their pocket if they forgot something or needed to redo something or whatever. That's 3% of their contract value of all the sum aggregate contracts was the value of their CM contingency. We hit that CM contingency very lightly. So a large percentage of that 3% is going to come back. So if we're at 2% change orders and we've got contingency coming back, we could end up close to a wash as far as net.
Net.
The CM contingency was about 50 something thousand.
Well, it's 3% of the
3% of 66 million.
Yeah.
Of the 60. Okay.
Yeah. So it's 66 million plus change for the GMP.
Yeah.
Well, 66 included this.
And
included the contingency.
It's better than
whatever. Yeah.
Wow. That's great. That's great.
So yeah, financially, I think we're in good good shape. We need to get closer to the final reports, which we'll be working on as we get closer there. We want to be certainly be ready to get into the audit business, which is why, you know, I may make a recommendation that some of these add-on items be handled after the project, so we can say, this is where we are, this is what's spent. We can go then to the state saying, we're ready for you.
Yeah, the audit process is not going to be short.
Yeah.
It takes
About a year,
about a year.
if they ever do it.
Yeah, last time we had the advantage that we could go up and get an
Independent,
auditor
yeah.
because they couldn't handle the number of audits. This year, I'm not sure.
Right,
Okay. Okay.
excellent.
And I think I gave you the financials on the elementary schools right now, at least up to date.
Yep.
So
I have them anyway. Do you all? Yeah.
Thank you.
change orders are very few, not many executed. There was 1 or 2 with, for the phase 1. I think one of them I have in front of me, but one of them we got back with $30,000 because excess material wasn't required where some of the piping was put in. So not much has been executed along those lines. So we're still, that process is still in the embryonic stages.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the, you'll notice on the west side, the second to last entry is vault conduits not shown for removal. They're going to find things when they start taking these things apart that
Right.
we don't know are there.
Well,
So.
they found over a couple, it might have been part of the old sewer system, if you will. They found some concrete boxes in the ground, if you will. So some of that stuff, as they do their excavation, things are popping up that weren't on anybody's plans.
As long as there are no bones.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
There might be some in the crawl space.
On the first ones that were sent out, I see Cutler has a different one, a higher number. Since the bird. How come the numbers are identical for both sites? Well, on the order of magnitude, everything that was changed on the numbers, they're both pages have the same exact numbers. I was just curious. Fencing.
No, they don't.
Yeah, on the first one. The second one is bigger at Cutler because it went from up to 200 and some odd thousand on the total.
The west side?
West side, and I had west side.
Yeah,
Wait a second. Maybe I pulled the wrong one out.
I think you did.
These are both west side.
Yeah.
That's why the numbers are the same. That's a good thing.
Cutler, yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you look at the new ones.
I see the new one. I was looking for the original one I had at Cutler.
All right.
Sorry.
Very
about
good.
that.
Okay. That's why you ask.
Okay, we have no unfinished business, I believe. Is that correct?
Except for 5B.
Well, yeah.
Yes, but that's.
I don't know why there's a good.
Yeah, that's, so what I was going to say was I am in receipt of a user change order request.
And Bob, if you will, I brought a copy of those
Oh, thank
things
you.
that were.
I'm even going to show this to the folks at home.
Requested to be added.
This is from Dr. Grenier.
Is that what the UCR is?
Yes.
The first one,
Yes. UCR, user change request. So we have received a request from Dr. Grenier. And he says,
Keep moving.
install lines for field hockey and synthetic turf field per the attached drawing. And Rick is giving you the attached drawing. The reason for the change request, lines not installed as part of the change order to install upgraded turf and infield. Lines subsequently requested by GPS, Groton Public Schools. The estimated total cost here is $35,000. The costs are not eligible for reimbursement. This was not originally included in the educational specifications, nor was it previously value engineered. However, that is acknowledged and accepted, and Dr. Grenier has signed this as a request and recommended it come forward to us. So we have the request. We have an estimate, and we have what looks like arrows flying out of the center of everything here.
Well, the reason the drawing looks like this is there's some lines that are coincidental. And talking to it, the field turf fellow, their representative, that if you look at the yellow sidelines, for example, they're coincidental with the blue men's lacrosse lines as far as the width of the field. So, and if you look at the end line, you can see the orange arc for the women's lacrosse. That's the 100-yard mark. So really, all it needs to be added is those yellow extensions. So this is what was priced out. Then there was a couple of arcs that were a little bit different because it's actually the same radius, but they split the arc ahead by apart by about 4 yards. So it's a little bit funky looking. And then these cross court lines, if you will. So this is what was priced out. The estimate we have is the latest I've heard was like 32,000, and I haven't got that back yet. The estimate from the contractor himself was 29,000 and change. Plus then we have all the add-ons for Arcadis and the prime contractor and that sort of thing.
We're not getting anything out.
Well, yeah, we get a lot of stuff. We get a lot of stuff.
Bonds and insurance, etc.
Yeah, bonds and insurance and all that kind of stuff. So the most recent number I have, which I don't have in writing, is around 32,000. So we put 35 in there. As you recall, we did something similar when the change order came to you for the field. And, we had the recommendations what lines to put in there. We didn't spend that 320,000, if you will, for that change order, more in the order of 303,000. So this very well could be a couple of $1,000 over, if you will.
Everyone understand what we're looking at here?
Yes.
All right, the process, as I understand it at this point, is going to entail removing the infill that's currently on and storing it off to the side, and taking the carpet up in particular places so that the lines can be cut in and bonded.
Yeah, they evidently
sewn
have a
in.
machine that comes in that does that cutting. They're telling me it's a 4 to 5 day process. The biggest part of it, or longest part of it, is taking the infill out. They not only got to take the cork and coconut shells out, but they also got to take the sand out to get in there to do the cuts that need to be made to install those additional lines.
They just do it where they need to do it, right?
I'm sorry?
They don't take the infill out everywhere.
No, they just need to take the infill out where the lines are. Yeah, so some guy walks around with a vacuum cleaner sucking up the stuff or whatever. But it does take a while to get it out.
Yeah.
It's got to be clean.
How common a practice is that, and does it impact any of the safety for, obviously, the cushioning?
Good question.
I have no idea how common it is, but apparently they know how to do it, and it's not going to impact any of the cushioning.
No.
Safety is key, so.
Pardon?
I just want to make sure, obviously, the safety part.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We were told by the installer that it doesn't affect the cushioning of the feet.
Will they be able to reuse the fill that they're pulling out to put back in, or do we have to use some of our?
My understanding is that they'll separate that and reuse it.
No, I think because of the way it gets mixed, they're going to have to bring in some other. But they actually donated to us.
Right.
Extra.
Like 11 bags of infill plus half a dozen bags of sand, or half bags of sand.
Okay.
So if you look at the cost of those, it's anywhere between $5,000 and $1,000 a bag for that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so
We
that
made out.
company has given us a lot of
So we can use some of
stuff
that.
in that
So we're not
regard
gonna
as far as,
have extra.
so if we have to use some of that infill, that's fine. If we don't, if they bring new, that's okay too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so
Oh, I have another question.
Before we even go to making a motion or anything else, for the past 2 meetings, I know it was talked when people spoke about the line. I brought it up last time. It's here. Tammy made the statement, said she looked at the contract, and it did have 2 sets of lines and a set of tickering lines on there. That's what was in the contract. That's what the gentleman said when he gave the presentation. We talked about it, and he said he wouldn't recommend any more than 3. 1 with the tickering and 2 with solid lines there.
Right.
So I said, she came back in, said she would look, and she pulled up and she said, I found the contract, and it stated that in the contract. I don't have a problem getting this done. I do have a problem if we have a contract that calls for that. Why should we be spending $35,000 for something that was in a contract, if it was there?
This was not in the contract. What the contract called for was marks.
Soccer line.
Marks and soccer. It called for none of the other striping. If you recall, when the fellow from Turf Field came in and did the presentation, he had several options. You know, he had options for the 2 lacrosse, the 1 field hockey. I had sent communications with Sam. He went to the athletic director. I got an email from Sam saying he talked to him. They wanted to put the 2 fields for stripes for lacrosse in. So the process that we followed as the town, and my support of you guys and the process you followed were all proper. If somebody wanted something different earlier on, maybe it should have been part of a separate discussion. But that's, you know, so you guys didn't make the decision what lines to put in. You actually made a decision what lines to pay for. And I made a recommendation based on my communications with the appropriate parties, like we've done in everything else on this project.
No, but actually, I'm sorry, actually the discussion and the vote that night was actually more so of the upgrade.
It was
Right.
the upgrade.
It was the entire, yes.
And those 2 options were.
But what
were
we
part
did
of
not
it.
do at the time was to say specifically anything about striping. What they did do was they went to the superintendent's
And the
office
athletic director.
and the athletic directors and whoever else was in on that
They did not
discussion.
talk to the athletic director.
Well, I don't,
They
I'm,
take his word anyway.
Well, whatever.
whatever was
All I
done,
got is an email.
whatever was done is actually at this point immaterial. We have this request here. Okay, and so whatever happened in the past, we can argue about after the fact if we wish, but I don't see that there's any point in doing that during the meeting.
No, it wasn't,
So-
it wasn't, I'm sorry, Bob, it wasn't in a sense of arguing. I just wanted the clarification because if something was there, I want what was supposed to be.
Oh, yeah, no, the contract, what was in the contract,
This wouldn't be here tonight if it was already in a contract.
The thing that was missing was the tick marks.
Mhm.
And there were 5-yard tick marks for potentially football. The superintendent didn't want those tick marks installed, so they weren't installed either. So we are, like Bob says, we are where we are right now, and the idea is to
Yeah.
go forward and make a decision.
Let's move forward.
So that's the other thing that's different here. We field hockey lines and they're not putting the 5-yard football field marks, which my opinion is that needs to be well. They can line the field of football if they want to.
well, again, that can be a separate issue. That's not, you know, what,
We're voting to not put 5-yard football as well.
No, just field
No,
hockey.
we're voting on to use
Field hockey. No, we're voting.
no, what we're voting on is whether
We accept the
we
change
are
order.
going to accept
The
the change
change
order
order.
request.
What does that say, Bob?
It says install lines for field hockey in synthetic turf field per attached drawing,
which you have.
which is here.
So in your responsibility, because it's an
Out of scope.
project, and the whole field actually was out of scope, you're required for the process we followed is that you would authorize funding of that, which is why Bob has that user change request problem to discuss.
Well, you have that, Mike, you're the field hockey lacrosse. Why don't you make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the user change request to install field hockey lines and not install 5-yard football tick marks.
Or installing it.
Or installing 5-yard.
Well, there are no football marks on this diagram, so.
I second the motion.
There's black tick marks there.
It's on the very bottom.
Bob, can you just repeat what the motion was? Because I only heard is something about 5 yards.
In just a second, Jay.
Thanks.
It says any black tick marks will not be installed.
The diagram has black tick marks. It will not be there.
So the only thing we have priced is this. It should be to approve this if you want.
Right.
Motion to approve the drawing.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
So Jamie,
Yes.
the motion is to approve the user change request based on the drawing in hand. Is that better?
And the funding.
Well, if we approve the request,
It
that
includes
funds it.
funding.
Now, I'm going to ask a quick question. Based on the estimated total cost at $35,000, do we want to put a cap on this?
Up to 35.
I would say.
Since the numbers have come in at
Well, I
29
think
to
if it comes,
32.
I think we should approve it up to 35,000. If it goes over 35,000, bring it back to us.
Are you okay with that, Mike?
Yes.
I think we're just slowing down the process. Is $1,000 or $2,000 going to make a difference in the committee? I mean, honestly, I think if they're coming in with an estimate, the estimates that this company has given us before have been accurate.
Yes.
I just think that we're prolonging this process. These girls need an answer. They need a decision. And I think that if a couple $1,000 is not going to make a decision, not going to make a difference, I think we should just approve it.
Well, I think
That's my take.
Isn't that the argument that we have? We have a number, keep it up to 35, and then there's.
But then if it does.
Let me finish. Then there's a committee, if something's there on a small amount of money, they discuss it and they can go above it.
Yeah, but you can do that in a heartbeat. If the bid came back at $36,000,
To
they could put out a quick
clarify,
email.
to clarify, the intent of a user change request and the intent of the dollar value attached to it is to be an order of magnitude. Do we want to get into this effort sort of estimate? If in concept you're in favor of it, then it moves forward. The actual dollar value is not the pivot point. It's the concept of, are we adding to the scope of the project in an order of magnitude cost of X? So the final, the final change order value will be handled like all other change orders are handled on a monthly basis. This is really, do we let the horse out of the barn or not? That's really what the intent of the.
Okay, I was just asking the question of if we did want, and
In the estimate we do have from the contractor, 29,000 is.
So I withdraw my 35. We're just approving this document.
okay,
As requested. I second.
okay. We're back to the original. Very good.
That's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. That was a unanimous decision. Okay, girls, you got your stuff. You should cheer.
They're muted. You can't.
They're muted. Very good. I'm glad that we managed to do that. That's going to be great. Okay. New business. Anybody got anything? Nope. We all know when we're meeting next?
Remind me the date. I think I have it in my calendar.
23.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Got it.
Does anybody have anything else for the good of the committee?
Think this worked out, we can do this again?
I think that's right. Yeah. I do.
Very good. Then I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you
Thank
very much,
you.
everyone,
Bye.
including the
Yeah.
public.
I got a Yahoo from Diane, so.
Well, I wanted you to make the motion, I mean. it's-
Yeah, I should have given you a motion already.
I mean, I agree with what Bob asked, because, I mean, even though they're saying
Uh-huh.
the estimate's 35,
Uh-uh.
oops, sorry.